Hi, hello, my name's Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books on YouTube. And today, we're going to talk about that. So, like a couple of weeks ago was my second Booktube anniversary. And when I first started the channel, I was like, I'm going to make anniversary videos and they're going to be like all the time, and I'm going to do subscriber milestone videos and all this sort of stuff. And you know, you have a lot of good intentions when you start a Booktube channel. So anyway, it's been a year since I've made an anniversary video, which I guess actually that kind of make anniversary annually. Anyway, so 1 year ago I made my 1 year on Booktube video, and it's currently 2 years and a couple of weeks since I started my Booktube channel, and I guess I'm here to talk to you about it. So I didn't make this video when the anniversary was coming up, and last year I rearranged my whole schedule so that the video went up directly 1 year after I started Booktube. And this year it's multiple weeks late, and I think that is emblematic of my attitude / vibe in 2025. So yeah, the last year has been really weird for the channel. So I guess, should we go into some stats first and then we'll kind of talk around everything else? So lifetime stats for the channel, which, pleased with this, okay. So lifetime stats, we have 149,000 views, which is pretty dope. We got 13.7 thousand watch hours. So you guys are really spending a lot of hours on my stuff. I got 1,500 subscribers. We are actually closing in on 1,600, but the latest big number was 1,500. And I have made in revenue £314, which is very good, I'd like to say. One of the big things that I really wanted when I started the channel and we monetized is I was like, right, if I'm going to continue to put effort into this, it would be nice if this paid for my book buying habits, essentially. And last year, so the first year on the channel, I spent a lot of money on books. Not just a lot of physical books, but I would probably say over 100 ebooks that I bought basically on a whim, and I probably read 10 of those. One of the big things behind, so this year I've been doing a book buying ban, and one of the big things that kind of kicked that off was when I was looking at, you know, when they did that thing where they were like, you can't download your Kindle library anymore. I went and looked at my library and it was like 360 books and 60 of them had been read. And I was like, that is too much. We'll talk about the book buying ban at the end of the year when I do a whole big wrap up on all the books that I bought, and because I have bought some Broken Binding books, for example, this year, but I think we're mostly zero. I think that I'm still under 10 books for the year, which is probably the amount of books people should be buying. I see a lot of people who are like, I bought 3 books this week, and then I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's what you're going to be reading next. And then the next week they'll post on Instagram or on Discord or whatever, I bought these 3 books. And I'm like, okay, but if you're not reading 3 books a week, okay, I will talk about myself. I was buying too many books for the amount of books that I read. I only read between 40 and 60 books a year, and the years that I get above 50 are years where I read a lot of short books. I would say my target is to read a book a week, and in an ideal world, get a few books ahead so that some books can take longer and I can still get a review out every week. But anyway, so I see a lot of people and I have to think to myself, those people are book collectors, not necessarily book readers. And also the thing that they're not showing us is the books they unhaul that they aren't going to reread, the books they donate or sell or whatever. So in my initial thought is very judgmental and is like, what's the point in buying so many books? And then I have to remember that not everyone thinks like me. So it's actually a big learning thing, not that I have learned recently, but that I've learned in like the past like 5 or so years, is that I know that I know that not everyone thinks the exact same way that I do, right? But I felt that when I was younger, I felt that maybe people thought the same way as I did, but were maybe too polite to say so, or something like that. And I've realised that my brain is just not polite. So, like, for example, I don't want to, like, if I'm going to get bad news, I want to be told it immediately. I don't want to, like, have the bush beaten around. Whereas I was in a work meeting and we were talking about preferences and things like that, and one member of staff was actually like, well, no, I would really like to, I'd like to kind of have the tone established and a discussion before the bad news is hit. And I was like, oh, I am exactly the opposite to that. Like, I want to, if I'm going to get, this was talking in the realms of like redundancy and stuff. So one of the team members there was like, if I'm going to be made redundant, I basically want the opening of the call to be like, hello, how are you? Sad news, you're being made redundant. And that was kind of how I want it. And they were like, no, actually, I would like to have a discussion of, you've been doing really well. Unfortunately, the company's going through some tough times and like all that sort of stuff. And they would want to also then discuss the news afterwards. Whereas I was like, okay, thanks. If there's no action points, I want to leave this meeting. And a lot of people I know at work also really like to have calls about stuff, whereas I'm like, message me, always message me, never call me, never email me. Messaging is what is so easy to keep up with for me, but other people feel like a real pressure. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. So yeah, it took me a long time to realise that I kind of thought most people were similar, and that obviously there are people who are on the fringes and blah, 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 but I kind of thought most people thought the same way as me. And the reason being is obviously echo chamber related. A lot of people that I spend time with are similar to me. This is an extreme tangent. I should probably cut this out, but I'm not going to because I don't cut my videos. So, well, actually I do cut. If I burp or fart, I cut. Sometimes I cut yawning, sometimes I can't be bothered. Anyway, so yeah, the book buying ban has gone extremely well, and from 2026 onwards, I'm going to still allow myself to buy books, but I think that the big thing that I'm going to do is always look for a way to read the book via the library system. I've been using the library so much this year. Or maybe signing up for Kindle Unlimited for a month or something like that. I'll probably be doing that in September. Signing up for a month of Kindle Unlimited because I want to read a ton of thingamies, self-published stuff. So anyway. Right, so let's talk about the past year in relation. So views-wise this year, so since last August, and these stats are since last August 1st, because I couldn't exactly remember. I think it was either the 13th or the 18th was my Booktube anniversary, but I just threw it back to the 1st. So in the last year, I have made 85.5 thousand views, which is a 35% increase on year one. We had 8.5 thousand watch hours, which is a 62% increase on year one. I do believe that that is because in year two, I have done more longer videos. So even though I've done way less videos, I think I did like 200 or something in my first year, and then like 100 and something in the second year. But even though I've done way less videos, those videos have mostly been longer. So I've been looking at long stuff and going like, well, I've been doing like spoiler discussions and things like that. One of the big things that I said when I started the channel was that I felt like there were enough booktubers who were doing a weekly discussion with another booktuber. So like, you know, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews does Talk About Nothing, and he's mostly pivoted to authors now, I think, rather than booktubers. But like, and Philip Chase has Dear Dr. Fantasy, and I'm looking at like Dear Dr. Fantasy in particular because that's like the, you know, that was like the first version of that show that I saw, and I'm like, actually, that feels like the platonic ideal of booktubers chat about books together with no sort of aim or topic, and so maybe that doesn't need to exist. But I do still like to talk to booktubers, so mine are usually focused on a specific topic. Unfortunately, that does mean that they get a lot less views, so spoiler discussions don't do particularly well, but I still like making them because I like talking spoilers about books. And I have actually been thinking recently that I should transition all my videos to being full spoiler, because I like full spoiler videos, but everyone told me when you start Booktube that reviews get really poor views and spoiler reviews get even worse reviews. But I'm thinking that maybe, aside from books that I'm gonna do a spoiler discussion for, maybe I'll just start doing spoiler reviews. I don't know. Drop down in the comments and let me know. Spoiler reviews, no spoilers. What do you prefer? So, subscribers. So this is the interesting one, and this is the one that's depressing, which is that subscribers, I've only got 700 subscribers in the last year, and that's actually 13% down. And that also includes the 2 times where I was on a much, much bigger channel and there was a huge spike in my subs. So last year, towards the end of the year, I was on Philip Chase's channel a couple of times, and his channel obviously has like 50,000 subs, and that brought over, both times that brought over like 100-ish subs. So if you don't include those, then I've only got like 500 subs, which is like a third of my subscribers in year 2. And seeing as I was, for year 1, everything was kind of an exponential growth. So each month I was getting 5 or 10% more subscribers than the previous month. And last month I got like 16. When considering that I've had months where I've gained like almost 200, 16 was a real low point. And that was actually, so I was coming up to recording this video a couple of weeks ago, and I was just so down about the channel that I actually stopped. I didn't record it because I didn't want to just sit there and like be depressed about the thing that I've been trying to do that's kind of failing. But anyway, so all of my revenue, by the way, the revenue is still £314 because I monetized last September. So all of my revenue has been in the past year. So, I mean, it's very good to get that revenue in. That is currently paying for my Broken Binding subscription. And that was like the first goal was to like cover my costs for running this channel, and one of those costs is buying books. The first year of the channel, actually, I was spending a lot more because I was paying for online storage, I was paying for some software, I was paying for Canva Premium, and I've stopped all of that now. A lot of the stuff that I was paying for previously, I'm now actually using Apple's software and services and like things that you can do on a Mac that you can't do very easily on a PC, and I've been using those to make my thumbnails and stuff like that, and I've been pretty happy with that, to be honest. The one thing I haven't started doing yet is putting like the white outline around your person on your thumbnails. That seems to be a thing that people enjoy and like, but I haven't worked out how to do that yet. Anyway, so what on earth were we talking about? The channel's failing? Is that it? I don't know. So yeah, we've got, let's talk about my most popular videos, actually. So my most popular videos, all three of them are e-reader reviews. So the Books Go Color 7, the Kindle Scribe, and the Books Palmer. All three of those are like together like 40,000 of my 149,000 views, which is a bit sad, especially because most of the top 10 of my videos is all e-reader reviews. If we look at book videos, so videos that are explicitly about books, my number one book video is my Wind and Truth review, which got about 1,500 views. Very pleased with that. What I think of the Wheel of Time, around 1,500 views. And that was my books 1 to 5 discussion. And then Why Do People Love the Wheel of Time, where I asked a ton of other booktubers to send me videos about Wheel of Time, and those ones did very well. Probably because I was able to put people in the thumbnail that other people like, and maybe some of those booktubers shared the video. I didn't see anyone do it, but maybe some of them did. So yeah, those are the best videos. What I should have done at the beginning of this video, I'm not gonna cut it back in, but what I should have said is we're gonna go over today some stats. We're gonna go over how I feel about the channel and any advice that I have. So, how I feel about the channel. I still like making content. That's the number one. So, if I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't do it. There are some times where many times I've considered giving up. And I did originally think, like, when we were like halfway through the Wheel of Time and my channel was really falling off, it's had a really bad summer, but that has come after a bit of an upturn. But around the kind of like last summer, the end of last year, the channel was really failing, like really poorly performing. Most videos were doing very badly. And I can't remember what was going on around that time, but that was kind of what inspired me to go down to 3 videos a week, because I was like, why am I pushing myself to 5 videos a week that no one's watching? So we went down to 3, and now most weeks I'd say it's probably 2. 2 feels good. I don't think that I'm going to formally, explicitly change the expectation and the schedule to being you guys are going to get 2 videos, because some weeks I have 3 videos worth of stuff to do. But my relationship with the channel is definitely very different than it used to be. It doesn't feel like it's like a weight or a responsibility. Like, I do still, like I said, I really like doing it. The things that I really like about it as well is that I get to talk to people about books, even if those people are the silent majority who don't leave comments. And whilst, yes, it would be great if I got more comments, or more people, who are going to take active participation in the channel. I do still appreciate every single person who gives me a second of their time. If you guys weren't here, I think maybe I would have stopped. But I've got a load of commenters and a load of friends, honestly, who I've made through this channel, and I really like those people, and I really like that. I really like that my audience and my friends push me to read new and interesting stuff. And I also like that they push me to be active with my reading, to not slack off and just sit down and marathon anime or play video games every night for weeks. Like, pulling my brain and eyes away from a screen for multiple hours a day is still the biggest benefit of Booktube, because I like reading, and I've always liked reading. And when I was a kid, I used to read tons and tons and tons of books. Like, when I was a teenager, I would have sometimes 2 books in my school bag, because what if I finished one book while I was at school? I needed another book for the bus journey home, you know? And a lot of those things got replaced by smartphones and podcasts. Honestly, podcasts was like a big thing for me, because when I shifted from, most of my entertainment came from reading, and then when I went to uni, most of my entertainment then came from video games and podcasts. And when we had our son in 2019, and then the pandemic happened, I started running. Running was like the big thing that I took on in the pandemic. And then one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should listen to audiobooks." And I tried it and I just couldn't catch it at all. I needed podcasts. I couldn't get on with audiobooks at all. I would just miss the entire story. And so I switched over to running with podcasts and really enjoyed it. And then I fell a little bit out of love with running. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, check out this series of books that I'm reading by Brandon Sanderson." And that was it for me. That got me back into reading. And that found me Booktube. So I found Booktube via Brandon Sanderson, because I wanted to, when I finished the book, I was like, what did other people think about that book? Like, I was seeking either external validation or like content to keep me hooked into the hobby. And ironically now, 2 years later, I barely watch any Booktube. So I try and keep up with my friends' channels, but 99% of the time I'm listening to those, it's in the car with YouTube. I have YouTube Premium, so I can do screen off listening. So it's in the car, or while I'm making dinner, or when I'm at the gym. So I'm really bad at leaving comments, which is mad, because I always ask people for comments, but I feel like I've commented on like 2 videos in the last year, which is insane. Maybe not 2 in the last year, but like, it's not more than 1 a week, you know. Booktube isn't hard. You can make it hard if you want. You really can. You can spend tons of time. I've made a couple of videos that took me an entire day's worth of time, and both of those are some of the worst performing videos on the channel. So I don't put any effort in anymore on that front. My effort is purely focused on reading and like trying to schedule interesting stuff. So thinking like, right, I want to do a month of self-published books, and I've done that twice now. I'm going to be doing it again next month. And there's a lot in the back of my mind that's like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. And I really wanted to do a reading vlog for A Memory of Light, the final Wheel of Time book. But I was thinking like, I just want to read. I don't have time to read and vlog this. I've got time to read it, but I don't have time to read it and vlog it and edit it and produce it. So I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review video, which I'm probably going to put up. I'm going to record after this, actually. I've got the book literally over there. And like, I really like a reading vlog, and I absolutely admire the people who take the time to do them, because I know how much goes into them. I did a video where I ran a half marathon while listening to an audiobook, because it was like a shorter audiobook, and I was like, I can run/walk a half marathon while doing loads of filming setups and blah blah blah. And it was a book I didn't really like that much in the end, but I had to finish listening to it because I'd driven out to a location to film. I'd already filmed, 15 minutes worth of clips. And because it was a spoiler reading vlog, nobody watched it. Decisions were made poorly in the planning of that video, yes. I didn't really consider that it was going to be a spoiler vlog until I was like halfway through and was like, I have nothing to say about this book unless I can spoil it. Yeah, all in all, it was a bit of a waste of time. I could have just sat down and enjoyed the book. Or maybe I wouldn't have, because I didn't really like it anyway. That's beyond the point. The best part about Booktube, it honestly is the community, is the friends that I've made, the people who come back and comment on the channel. I constantly see Adam and Lindy, and there's a few people who've found the channel through series that I've run, like the Wandering In series or Wheel of Time series, and they now comment on other stuff, and they read other stuff that I read and recommend, and that makes me really proud to have built that group of followers. Yeah, Booktube has its ups and downs, absolutely, and I'm in the down and have been for a year. When I first started reading Wheel of Time, the channel just like exploded. I was getting 100 subs one month, 120 the next, 130 the month after, and then it never really got back to that, which is interesting. Never got. I don't really know whether it was Wheel of Time. It could have been Wandering In, to be honest. That's incredibly huge. One of the big problems with the Wandering In stuff was that it just wasn't as good as the other books I was reading. It was good, but it wasn't at the level that the fans, the level of love that the fans have for it. And it's quite interesting because there's quite a lot of communities around series of books, and you'll see a community of fans around a series of books, and they'll be like, this is my life, this is everything. Like, I read these books back to back to back to back, and then when I finish them, I start them again. And it's not that deep for some of those series. For me, like, if I look at, I'm not going to name and shame a book fandom. I don't know why quotation mark, air quotes that. I'm not going to name and shame a book fandom, but there is a really big book fandom out there that is obsessed with one series of books. And put your guesses down in the comments, whoever you think it is. But those books are not that good. They are good. Every single one of them is good. There are no bad ones. But the level of obsession with that particular author's work is insane to me. There are great things about those books, absolutely, but the disconnect for me between like the quality of writing and the level of fandom for a few authors is mad. especially when there are so many authors that are going completely under the radar and are writing infinitely better work, like Philip Chase's Idan trilogy. Like, if you aren't a Philip Chase fan, you know, in terms of his YouTube channel, it does seem like if you don't like the guy's YouTube channel, you aren't reading those books. And like, the third book in that series was like revelatory, maybe the best book I've read since starting the channel. The Greenbone saga was huge on Booktube 2-3 years ago, just before I started my channel, but now nobody talks about it. And obviously there's zeitgeist stuff, but then you have books that were huge back then that are still huge, like Red Rising, for example, The Cosmere, although those books are still releasing. Red Rising is kind of still releasing. What finished series is like still massive on Booktube? Just looking at my own shelves. People do love... I don't know. What do you think, Barry? He's happy, is all I can tell you. He's purring away. This video has been like half therapy session, half share stats completely out of order and randomly. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Despite wanting to wait until the channel was not a huge Debbie Downer. Is that a term offensive? It probably is. My mum's name is Deborah. Maybe I shouldn't say Debbie Downer anymore. Anyway, yeah, despite not wanting to bring you all down with this video, I like to try and be a positive voice. It's like why I don't really want to like shit on books. Like if books, especially like indie books, if an indie book is bad, I'm much more likely to quietly move on to another book than to do a review. So I don't accept many indie books sent to me, to be honest, because I feel like if someone's going to send me a book, I have to read it, and then if I don't like it, is that a waste of my time? Yeah. It's still disheartening to see the channel underperforming to where I have wanted it to be. And it's not like I want to be Mike's Book Reviews, you know? I don't even want to have, like, I look at some channels that have like 10,000 subs and I think to myself, like, that's the end goal. That's where I want to be in like 5 years of having the channel. Not like, yeah, that wasn't where I was like, I want to get to this level. Like, I just don't. Like, I just want to sit in my office on this little sofa with my 2 cats and talk to you guys about the books that I read and that I love. And, you know, I'm going to keep the channel going, obviously. I'm planning on starting Malazan now, and like, that's obviously another 10 book commitment, you know? Like, my out for stopping the channel probably was the end of Wheel of Time, because, you know, I promised I would finish that series, but I don't want to stop talking to Matt about books. We do our read-along, our monthly read-along together. I don't want to lose touch with my friends. I don't want to lose touch with this community. And like, I'm not gonna lie, the money helps. Like, getting some money for chatting to you guys and selling some adverts on YouTube does really help. My wife and I are buying a new house, and everything is so expensive about moving house. We've been saving for, well, basically we bought this house 10 years ago, and we have been saving and scrimping and saving every penny because we don't earn a lot of money. I work for a non-profit. She works part-time for a school. You know, we aren't rich people. We don't have a lot of disposable income. So getting some in via the channel is a genuine game changer. I got the email from Broken Binding about the new Malazan books this week. And I was looking at it and I'm like, I had been planning. I wanted to collect this series of books, the Malazan books, because I'm going to start reading them. And I was so excited to get that email, and then I saw that the deadline was like 3 days' time. And I was like, well, don't think I can pull together the money to pay for that in 3 days' time, because all our money is tied up in this house move. And my personal disposable income has always been very, very low. And yeah, YouTube has been a real boon, like the amount of money that we talked a little bit about book buying bans earlier, and like I was spending too much money on books that I didn't really, not that I didn't have. I don't use credit cards or anything like that. I like to just spend my money. But like I spend less than 10% of what I earn. The rest goes into savings. And I don't earn a lot. And like this month was my wife's birthday, and we went on holiday to Disneyland, and I looked at both of those things and was like, well, that's it. That's no Malazan books for me, And if I'd had if I'd had notice, I'd have put some money aside, but I didn't have that notice. They told us like 4 days before, so I was like, well, guess I'm fucked, But yeah, the money does help, and like, if there was no money and the channel was performing as badly as it has done the last 6 months, maybe I would have stopped. But I would miss it. I know I would. I'd miss you guys. I'd miss my friends, Ross, Laura, Charlie, Tim, Mare. Matt especially, because Matt and I only really talked via the channel, like we did meet via Booktube, and we've never met in person. He's too busy, I'm too busy, and yeah, it's tough. I've seen a lot of people quit, and madly, I've seen people who have way more subscribers than I have, in the like 3,000 or 4,000 range, who are doing, one video a month, or like, it's so weird, you guys. Booktube is so weird, because like, I don't want to compare myself to other people, because comparison is the thief of joy. It 100% is. Even comparing myself to myself of 1 year ago is depressing. Comparing myself to friends is depressing. And like, there was somebody that I was following a while back, and they had like 2,000 subs, and they had a Patreon, and they were getting like 10 patrons a month or whatever, and like they just stopped, and I was just like that was like my 3-year goal originally was 1,000 subs, right? I think we talked about this before. Yet when I started the channel, I was like, 3 years, 1,000 subs, that's where I'd like to be. But then when we got to 1,000 subs in 13 months, I was like, oh, okay, let's reevaluate. Maybe 5,000 subs in 3 years. And then the channel grew 13% worse this year, even with big injections of followers. So, I'm sorry, buddy, you didn't like that. So, yeah. I did think, behind the scenes, I'll tell you, I built a Discord and was going to launch it when I hit 2,000 subs. But, like, when is that going to be? Is that ever going to happen? And, like, I was thinking I would launch a Patreon because, I've said it before, the money genuinely really helps me. Because, when we move into this new house, I was talking about that earlier, I'll have even less money to spend. Like our family money is fine. We as a family have surplus money, we're fine. But me personally, to spend on my hobbies and interests, aka reading books and making YouTube videos, that money is going to drop about half. So I was like, oh, maybe Patreon would make me, £10-20 a month or whatever, and add that to the £20 to £30 I make from YouTube every month, and I was like, that actually would make a big difference. It doesn't feel like it would make a big difference, but that would probably cover all the costs of having a YouTube channel and a few extra bits that I would be able to spend on the channel. Like maybe I'd be able to go to more events, go and meet more booktubers in person, do more things like that, It hasn't really been possible this year because we've had a baby in the house. So my daughter was born last May, and life has kind of returned to normal now. I still have slightly less disposable time because I feel bad leaving my wife with 2 kids in a way that I didn't really leaving her with just our son. Like, she never really had an issue with like doing all the bed, like cooking and doing bedtime and stuff for like her and Peter. But for 2 kids, it feels like, when you're outnumbered by children, This has actually turned into a downer video, hasn't it, really? It's just turned into me complaining about how I've spent all my money on a new house and I don't have any money for books, or going to the pub, or, stuff like that. Anyway. Subscribe if you haven't. That would actually really help me feel better. Don't think it helps anything else. Make sure you drop comments below. If you have a Booktube channel, genuinely, let me know how you feel about it. I'm going to do a 1-year monetized video next month at some point, in which I talk about the process of being monetized and whether that's changed my content or anything. Spoilers, it hasn't. But I know a lot of people really love those 1 year of being monetized videos, so I'm going to make it for the algorithm. Best book I read in the last 2 years, probably Return to Idan. There's other books that I genuinely really loved as well. I loved A Memory of Light, really, really loved A Memory of Light, Gathering Storm, Knife of Dreams, Dragon Reborn, Lord of Chaos. All of those books were fantastic. Really liked Iron Gold, actually. Didn't think I would like it. Really liked it. Dungeon Crawler Carl was great fun. Yeah. Tough times for nobody, really. Let me know what you're loving. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know anything you want to talk about. This video is so long, and it is going to be so unintelligible, and it is going to basically be like you listening to me whinging for 43 minutes. Well, less than 43 minutes because I cut out when I sneezed earlier. I hope you guys have a lovely week. I hope that this has not put you off starting a Booktube channel, because there are a lot of pros and all of the cons are in my own head. All of the negatives are in my head. None of them are actual real negatives to be upset about. Yeah, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Speak to you on Friday. Bye.